Hello, welcome to Whitsbury Manor Stud. My name's Ed Harper. I am director at Whitsbury Manor Stud and I'm going to take you on a tour, see some of the areas that people wouldn't normally see. We are still in lockdown with the coronavirus, which we're taking very seriously, so it will largely just be myself taking the camera around and hopefully explain what we get up to. Well, welcome to Whitsbury Manor Stud. If you were bringing a mare for covering to one of our stallions, that's what you would see first. Our Whitsbury gate at the end of our long drive, and we've had 450 mares covered this season through our covering shed. So this is a trip that many box driver has taken in the last few months this season. We are in rural Hampshire, as you can tell, but it does mean we have the best land, I would like to say, for raising our young stock, and it's worth the trip when you get out here. We pass many fields on the way down to the bottom stud, which is where the stallions in the office are, past the Baron and Mare maiden yard, and hopefully after we've got through the wood you will be able to see the main valley. We have 3 covering times during the day, and this is one of the quiet periods at the moment in the afternoon, so this opens up so that you can see the main valley of the stud and the main drive down to the bottom. The stud's been in the family, the Harper family, for a number of years, but my father Chris started managing it in 1963, and I took over the directorship about 10 years ago. Here the nursery paddocks at the bottom of the hill, and the loading area or unloading area where the mares unload for covering. On the stud we foal about 60 or 70 mares a year, and we have 4 stallions, but when the first couple of weeks of the foal's been born, when they're at their youngest, they go into nursery paddocks, just their mother and them, without being paired up. So these are smaller paddocks where the mother can look after her young foal without the stresses of other mares around. When they're sort of a week to 10 days old, they tend to get paired up with one other mare, and foals get used to them and then move out to a bigger paddock of 6. This is a Frankel foal out of Suolita. So this is actually our last foal born. He's only a couple of days old, but obviously being a Frankel, he's very exciting. A lovely foal. Suolita's bred 2 black type horses with her first 2 foals, so that's why we thought she deserved a spectacular covering. And in behind you can see the other nursery paddocks. We've got about 16 nursery paddocks in total, and all varying different sizes. Some of them are designed to have 2 mares and foals in to buddy them up before they go into the bigger paddocks. But yeah, the busiest part of the season, other than the foaling, is the walking in mares from outside clients sending their mares to our stallions, and we have about 70% walk-in business, and I think I mentioned a total of around 450 mares visiting our stallions this year, which is a lot of visits, a lot of lorries arriving down the drive. So it gets pretty busy in February, March, April. It's a lot quieter now. There's The next mare and foal to be buddied up, a Havana Grey colt, and a due diligence colt in the next paddock. So the last few before they go out to the big paddocks. So down at the Stallion Unit, this is Showcasing and Havana Grey's box. Showcasing on the left, Havana Grey on the right. Havana Grey's box we tend to call the Caddo Genera box because he was in there for 20 years. But you can see over here, this is the paddock behind Showcasing's box where he hangs out during the day. We just open up the back door and he can wander out as he pleases, depending on the weather. He prefers it out generally, and he can come out into this paddock. We keep him in the smallest paddock because he's a very good doer, and if he gets any more grass than the absolutely necessary, then he gets very fat. So we actually cut his field size in half a few years ago just to reduce the amount of grass, and he nibbles it down to the bone because we have to be very careful with his weight. But he likes spending time out, having a look across at the other stallions and the other stallion paddocks over there. He is now really coming towards the end of the covering season. He'll have covered 160 mares, which is the same as he covered in 2019, and he's had a great season. Got 95% of the mares in foal, so that's fantastic. This here is Due Diligence's box. He gets his own detached house, which is rather nice for him. It has a nice through breeze when we open the top door, so you can see his name board there and his empty box because he's outside enjoying himself. Here he is. So the door opens after first coverings in the morning, and he usually wanders out and enjoys his paddock, and he can choose whether he wants to be in or out during the day. When the flies get bad, he usually goes back inside, but I think that's part of the reasons why the stallions are so relaxed at Whitsbury, is because they can just come in and out as they please and live a sort of freer life than a horse that has to be taken out to the paddock or brought in at a certain time. So in the summer, they're very lucky. They can just live their own life, and yeah, so they only really come in for coverings and they don't mind that, so happy boys. So I've moved away from the buildings to further afield on the stud, and this is where some of the older foals are with their mares. This is actually our weaning paddock, so it's the paddock that they come into when the next stage is weaning. So this is our eldest bunch of foals that were born in January. We tend to keep them in groups of 6s for easy management, so that you can move them between paddocks easily. And we've got some young mares in here, a few with their first foals. That's Foxcatcher there, who's a mare by Foxwedge at the front, and I think her foal is sleeping over there. Actually, it's a Havana Grey colt who's having a doze. This is a Showcasing filly out of a mare called Madame Paco, who is a half sister to Projection, who was a good group winner for Roger Charlton for the Royal Ascot Racing Club. She's a nice filly, typical Showcasing, compact, should be fast. She might go to the foal sales at the end of the year. Then this is a Havana Grey filly out of a half sister to a stallion called Colsty. She's rather nice. She's just losing the fuzzy foal hair, and really getting that nice rich bay colour, but she's got great bone, nicely balanced, very strong. I think she was sort of mid 50 kilos when she was born. A lot of these Havana Greys are very heavy birth weights, very solid. That is Killamont Street, the mother of a showcasing foal which might also be snoozing. Always feel a bit guilty about getting them up, but they're certainly nice and relaxed in a sheltered paddock. So the sleepy Havana Grey colt out of Foxcatcher that I was spotted earlier has now decided to get up from his sleep and stroll across to his mother, probably wanting a drink. He's probably been lying down for 20 minutes or so and he's got hungry. So you can see how well he walks and just how strong he is there. I mean, he is a pretty spectacular foal. If they were all like that, this game would be very easy. He's about as nice a foal as you could hope to get. I might just chase him up and see what he's up to. So yeah, Havana Grey, born in January, and it's Havana Grey's first crop. He stands here. He was the Group 1 Flying 5 winner, also won the Sapphire Stakes Group 2 and the Molecombe Stakes Group 3 5 furlong specialist, real speed horse, just what we like. He's putting real power into his foals. You can see that hind quarter, strong shoulder, lots of bone. They're also very, very friendly, which is great, but it means they're difficult to film because they keep coming up to say hello. But yeah, we're pretty excited about this chap and a lot of the other Havana Greys. So I might find some more for you. It's nice for the fields to have mature trees around them in the summer. Obviously the mares appreciate some shade on the hot days like this. I just thought I'd also show you another important part of the stud, and that is the cattle. We run 60 head of cattle on the stud throughout the summer and into the autumn. It's great for pasture management. Mixed grazing is a real tool for us to keep the quality of the pasture up. We also run sheep over the newer lays of grass, and it's definitely a vital tool. So we have to know about managing cattle as well as horses. You can see that we've got nice undulations on the stud. We're lucky it's really rolling countryside. I think young stock develop that much better on rolling sort of steep undulations. You can see the weaned foals and the yearlings bombing up and down the hills. I'm sure it helps sometimes get that extra inch out of them in a tight finish. So the stallion boxes at Whitsbury aren't too far away from the covering shed, which means it's quick and easy for the stallion man Bubba to go grab them when the mare is ready. And here is Due Diligence heading for his covering this afternoon, heading into the covering shed, and that's something he would have done many times this season. He'll cover over 100 mares. He had such a good year year in 2019 with 3 stakes winners that he's got a lovely book of mares this year, and he won't be long in there before the job's done. And out he comes just a minute later, and the stallions are always a lot more relaxed coming out the shed, unsurprisingly, and he heads back to his box to be washed off and fed. So another good job done, hopefully. So another important thing we do on the stud is make our own hay. We make almost all of our own hay if we get the weather for it, and we've just cut this field yesterday, so it's busy drying. We'll turn it a few times and then bale it probably in 2 days. Most of the fields that we cut for hay are actually on the arable farm that we have here, but we tend to cut this field for hay because it's next to the stallion paddocks, and we don't want mares and foals next to the stallion paddocks for obvious reasons, so we tend to save this one for hay. But yeah, the stud is about 700 acres, and the arable farm is quite a bit bigger, so we've got the luxury of plenty of land for making a lot of our own feed. I've now come out to the yearling side of the stud. It's a great view from up here, but you can see the yearlings hopefully down the bottom. or one of the paddocks of yearlings. There's another paddock up there and another paddock the other side of the hedge, but it's evening, and I find it a great time to come out and to see the yearlings in the evening when they're a bit more active, rather than in the heat of a sunny day where they tend just to be lying down and doing nothing. They're walking about and more interested in the evening, so I'm going to go down and show them to you. Here's a paddock of yearling fillies that haven't been out here very long. This is their first couple of days in this paddock. You can see how steep this particular field is. We've just cordoned off a section for a couple of days whilst they get to know the ground. Then we'll take the tape away and they'll be able to dash up and down, but I just want them to get to know the ground a bit better before they do that. Like I said earlier, I think the rolling ground here is one of many factors which I believe helps us breed fast horses. We've proud to say we've had a great record at of breeding good horses over the last few years. Pearl Secret, Tasleet, Heartache, Gilt Edge Girl, lots of group winning speedsters, and they're not being very friendly to each other. And I think the land and the rolling ground has been a big part of that. So here on the right we have a showcasing filly closest. Couple of Addays here. We're waiting for Adday's first runners. Can't wait for them, really. We've been hearing some good things, and yeah, they are a healthy looking bunch of fillies. They've got a lovely big paddock. So hopefully they'll be heading to the sales at the end of the year, and somebody will be still wanting to buy horses, but who knows what's going to happen in the next couple of months. Hope you've enjoyed a look round Whitsbury Manor Stud, and can keep a lookout for our Whitsbury bred runners in the future. Thanks.